Hello everyone, this is Grand Madam. Today I want to try something different with you. I want to explain emotional blockages and how you can change them for yourself for your own personal success. I'm not just a tarot reader, I am a life coach. And after doing several readings, it seems that we all have crippling emotional blockages that are getting in our way to our happiness. So, what I'm going to do is let me explain emotional blockages. With emotional blockages, we tend to put our true emotional issues out on other people. And we get negative feedback from that. We get the antithesis of success. We fail. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to explain your emotional blockage, where it comes from, what it's supposed to do, and what the actual healing feeling is that's motivating you to block yourselves. Now, here's the key. Unless we allow ourselves to feel clearly and express what we feel within certain parameters, within certain limits, we are going to create an emotional blockage, and that is going to be problematic for us. So, I'm going to use the tarot cards to try to illustrate the emotional blockage, okay? Now, let's start with anger. Keep in mind that these emotional blockages, my friends, are all energies, and energies can be changed. We call that change transmutation. And once we transmute those emotional blockages, we transform ourselves into stronger, better, and more loving people. And we attract better things to us. So, anger. The feeling or energy of anger is what we use to protect ourselves and our boundaries now. And we do that to keep us safe in the world. If you block yourself from feeling or releasing your anger, we'll start blaming others, and some of us will start blaming ourselves. And what that does is that it basically proves us to be powerless. So, the emotional blockage of anger is blame. And what that comes from is basically personal betrayal. Someone has lied on us. Someone close to us has stabbed us in the back. And now we're going to blame them for our pain and our anger. Now, what anger is also indicating is that we need to set up a stronger boundary or boundaries for ourselves as we relate to other people, whether that be friends, family, lovers, spouses, co-workers, bosses. It does not matter who it is. We have to set up fresh boundaries or strengthen the boundaries we already have in place so that we will not feel so strongly about being angered. We live in a society where women are still not allowed to be angry. Black people, black men, and black women are not allowed to be angry. And for the rest of the world, children are not even allowed to be angry or to show anger. And what this is, basically, it's an oppression. Society's tool for keeping you down is to forbid you, regardless of how hurt you are, regardless of how betrayed you are, regardless of how wronged you have been, to show your anger. It's a victim mentality that has been enforced within our society. So, to avoid, we can't avoid all the angers, but to be aware of what angers us is basically what is being indicated for us to put up some personal boundaries. Okay? Otherwise, we'll start blaming everyone for our failures and feelings. And that's just not real. Okay? The next emotion is sadness. Being in a state of sadness for too long creates the emotional block of depression. Now, the feeling behind sadness is abandonment. We've been left alone. We could be grieving the death of a parent, the death of a child, the death of a loved one or spouse, and some of us, even the death of our jobs, our careers. Sadness always comes about with endings. We must allow ourselves to feel the sadness, feel the abandonment, and allow that feeling just to go away. That does not mean wallow in it and think about what's making you sad for 24 hours straight. That does not mean listening to sad music, watching sad movies. No. Because you can relate to them? No. That means, just as I said, feel the sadness until that energy goes away, or you're running the risk of a clinical depression, which can be very dangerous for you. So understand, where there are endings, there will always be sadness. Fear is the next emotion. Fear is a warning energy. It puts you in fight or flight mode. If you block the fear because of some uncertainty, you are going to end up with anxiety. And that chronic state of anxiety will break your body down. It'll make you sick. You'll catch colds. You'll be attracting the flu. You'll start having aches and pains. You're not going to be able to sleep to regenerate your body. You'll be doing weird things. You'll be self-medicating, and you will still feel even more and more and more anxious because you have not faced your fear. Now, understand clearly that fear is an indicator that something is not in alignment with you. Something is not right for you. So instead of letting it build to a point of anxiety, start checking things out. Look into that uncertainty. What is it that you're uncertain about, and go digging. Investigate. If you are fearful because it's like you feel that something's wrong, you have a presentation to make, you can't put your finger on it, sit still, close your eyes, do some slow breathing, and ask, what am I missing here? Do that in any occasion where you feel all of a sudden it's a fear, and you feel it in your belly. If you start feeling apprehensive about anything, listen to your body. If normally you drive in one direction, but suddenly you start feeling a fear you cannot explain, drive in a different direction. because you are moving head on into something that maybe not for you, maybe not be healthy for you, or maybe some type of danger is awaiting you there. Use your intuition. But still, don't try to talk yourself out of fear. Oh, that's just silly. I'm going to do this anyway. No, 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 no. Back up. Hold up. Check things out before you make a decision. Check things out before you make the next step. Fear is an indicator that something is not right for you. Sorrow. Now, sorrow is interesting. The energy of sorrow is to help you grieve your losses. But if you don't allow yourself to feel sorrowful, if you don't give yourself permission to grieve, you become hardened and indifferent to the people you love. Now, in our readings, we find a lot of third-party situations where a choice has been made to leave one lover and to go to or back to someone else, the new person. If you are breaking up with someone in August and it was a nasty breakup, it was a toxic relationship, it was a nasty relationship where you were beaten down and arguing at every hand, every turn, everything turned into an argument. Some of us have even experienced abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse. If you left that relationship in August and you find yourself in another relationship in September, my darling, you have not allowed the sorrow and the grief from leaving the old relationship. And that will express itself in the new relationship as emotional unavailability and indifference. You will be taking the baggage, sorrow and grief, and probably some anger mixed in from the old relationship into your new relationship and dumping it all on your new partner who has done nothing to hurt you, who's offering you love, which is why you chose them in the first place. But you'll push them away. You will run them away because you have not yet processed the sorrow and the grief from the past relationship. This is why oftentimes reconciliations do not work. Okay? Because the sorrow has not been processed. Allow yourself to grieve the death, the ending of that past relationship. The reason you're feeling sorrowful is because you are so powerless over making that previous relationship the way you needed it to be. There was nothing you could do with that. Nothing. For whatever reason. It could have been the person, it could have been timing, it could have been the situation. Either way, whatever it was never going to work. It is not right for you to take those feelings of sorrow into a new relationship or into a new job or into any new situation until they have been thoroughly processed into the grief they truly are. And when you're grieving a situation, you have to run the whole gamut of grief, sorrow, sadness, anger, disappointment, and the whole 9 yards. Okay? So where there is sorrow, I'm sorry, where there is, well, yeah, where there's sorrow. Sorrow different from sadness. Sadness deals with abandonment. Sorrow is more long term. Sorrow deals with powerlessness. There's nothing you could do about it. The death of something. It's just way beyond you. Way beyond you. That's why you have to grieve. And then just let it wear off. Wear down, or just learn how to live with it. Okay? But you do not become emotionally unavailable because of sorrow. This is what the indifference looks like with sorrow. This is what you're showing the world. I don't care about anything anymore. I just don't care. This is what indifference looks like. And this is what you're giving the world when you have not processed your sorrow. Okay? Another card of sorrow. The death of another situation, different from sadness. Sadness, you've been left behind and abandoned. Sorrow, your mate, your parents, someone you love has died, or a relationship has died, or you've gotten fired from the job, a job you loved. That's the difference. It's out of your hands. Next, we have frustration. And with frustration, there is a huge and continuous dissatisfaction. Now, whether it's on the job or in a relationship, it stems from being dissatisfied with your goals or your objectives, what you're trying to do. You just keep getting blocked in every which way. No matter how hard you try to make something work, it just will not work. And that, especially on the job, the emotional blockage of frustration is judgment. I know this card says judication, and that's pretty much my judgment card from the Kipper deck. I didn't want to use the Rider-Waite because it had a big fat angel at the top, and the angel may have nothing to do with this form of judgment. Because what happens when you're frustrated, you tend to judge those around you. If you ever hear a manager or a boss say, "I'm surrounded by morons," that's the judgment that comes from frustration. The key here is persistence. If you try to do something and it doesn't work, go back and revamp it and try it again. But you have to stay persistent. Frustration is the energy that helps you persist when things take longer than expected. When you block your normal feelings of frustration and want to blame other people, it's because of this person I can't get this done. It's because of that person I can't get this done. You don't support me. How do you expect me to get this done? That's frustration. Instead of judging others, try a different way of doing things. Go around whatever that is that's causing the frustration. Just work your way around it in a new direction. But you still have to feel the frustration. I didn't say how long. Not too long. You don't feel any of these things too long. Anger can subside quickly. Sorrow is a little different because the loss was so much greater. Indecision, excuse me, comes from discouragement. It's feeling is basically disappointment. Now, disappointment is the energy that will help you to detach and move on. This comes also with relationships and job situations where things are just not working out, and you are kind of caught up in your mind about what to do about it. Well, what you do about it is allow the disappointment, feel that disappointment, and then release it. This whole business about I can't I can't choose, I can't decide is basically not wanting to detach, not wanting to leave, wanting to stay stuck. If I stay stuck, I don't have to make this decision. Yes, you do. So when you find yourself in a space of indecisive energy, it's time to pull back. Worry. This should also go with indecision. I'm going to put both of them back up here. To be worried, but not allowing yourself to worry, comes from a sense of helplessness. You can't stay worried and indecisive. Worry helps you to take action and to prepare for what's coming next. When you block your feelings, when you you stay stuck in indecision, instead of releasing your worried feelings because you're not prepared, you procrastinate. And when you procrastinate without taking the necessary steps to do what you know you have to do, you will miss opportunities. When you wait too long, you miss opportunities. Now, with procrastination, sometimes things are thrown in your way. Little mountains are thrown in your way that you can't seem to get over, which kicks back into frustration. But at least you'll be trying to get around those mountains or going through those mountains to reach your goal. At least some action is taken. But when you are in an energy space, a mental space of being so tied up that you can't figure what to do, so you sit and worry instead of coming up with a plan of action, you miss opportunities. Now, this is going to be a little different. I wasn't sure whether to turn this card right side up or to keep it upside down. Maybe I'll turn it right side up so you can see it. This is third chakra stuff. This is self-worth, self-acceptance. This is about perfectionism. There's no such thing. Virgos, you can only do the best that you can do. So when you find yourself in a situation where you know you are inadequately prepared, you become embarrassed, especially if it's public. Take that embarrassment, promise yourself, okay, I flubbed this one up, but the next time I'm going to be ready. And move on. Now, the next bugaboo, emotional block, is resentment and jealousy, motivated by deprivation. When we are at a loss and we see someone else with what we want, and we see that that person, or we judge that that person is so much less than what we are, we have created a space, or we have attracted the energy of envy. Why does she have the Mother of the Year award when I know she doesn't even take care of her kids? She got a brand new car with that that award. That's envy, folks. And it breeds resentment and jealousy. And the bottom line, the way you transmute that energy, go ahead, feel envious for a little while. Don't live in it. Give yourself 5 minutes of envy. Then it's time for you to make a plan to start changing what you are now to what it takes to be that Mother of the Year. Okay? That's how envy works. Instead of trying to, I'm going to take that car from her, or that man, or that job, because you're not that person yet. You have to build up to become what that person is. Because as lowly as you see that other person, they are working with an energy that you are not. That's how they got their awards and rewards for who they are. And there's nothing you can take from them that they won't get back from you. The universe will take it right back from you and give it back to them because of the person's energy. Not because of they might be less than, but they have a certain energy that they use to attract their rewards and their awards. Envy is your motivation for change, personal change. Now we're going to move on. Don't get mad with me because this is real. Hurt. The emotional block is self-pity. When we get our feelings hurt, of course we're going to feel bad for a few. It might be all day. It might be a couple of days. But we don't allow that hurt or hurt feelings to turn into self-pity that lasts for months. We get hurt when we find that we've been left behind. We get hurt when we discover that we have been excluded from where we want to be. Yeah, that hurts. And we can easily fall into a victim mentality. That's an energy unto itself. It's not just a mindset, it is an energy, and it is unhealthy. What that hurt is doing for us, the hurt energy we feel, is letting us know that A, we are not in alignment with that group or that person, and B, we don't belong here, which is pretty much A. But when you find that you have been excluded from something, some trip, some group, some event, some project, sure, feel the hurt, but become self-aware to know that your energy was not conducive to that project, that group, or that person. So don't waste 2 seconds on self-pity. Get the hell out of there. This is hurt again. This is hurt from dealing with a loved one. When you've been left behind or not chosen for a commitment. Same deal. You are not in alignment with that person and what they say they are about. Get out of there. Now, all tied up. All right. These two I'm going to put together. Not that way, this way. All tied up, I'm using for scared, for being scared, the energy of being scared. And the reason I'm using that is because it's a form of fear. Well, it's a to be scared is normal and when you're not comfortable in your settings. But unlike outright fear of a situation, let me put this down. Put this up here. You may be forced to see things from a different perspective, one differently than you have before. And that may have you all tied up and hanging upside down trying to figure out what is going on. It's okay to feel scared when you're trying something new. But when you resist the fear or pretend you're not afraid of this new situation or this situation has changed and you don't know which way is up, you don't know what's going on, you are going to get stuck. Hangman. And eventually, while you're hanging upside down, then you become all tied up with confusion. And you just cannot figure out how to deal with this new situation. This may be from a new procedure on the job that's been set up, a new system. It may be in a relationship when your children leave the nest and now it's just you and your spouse and you find out you don't even know who the two of you are anymore without the kids. It also comes to the surface after a nasty breakup and an attempt at reconciliation. It is you're scared, afraid of this new beginning because you really don't know. It's almost like being a virgin again. You don't know what to do or how to do it. Allow yourself to be, and even say it, I'm just afraid I don't want to mess this up. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm out of my depth. Help me. It's okay to be afraid, to be scared when facing a new situation, which is not like the fear that we spoke of earlier when you get this funny feeling in your gut and up in your chest and you feel this stirring because there's danger ahead. No, this is a totally different type of being afraid. This is basically built on self-doubt and being out of your depth. Situations have occurred that you feel absolutely hopeless about. What can I do if they don't love me anymore? What can I do if I don't produce this work fast enough like everybody else? Because I don't know how to use this system yet. What can I do to save this person that doesn't make them walk away from me? I don't understand their fears. I don't understand what they're saying. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. It's okay. Just feel that fear and then voice it. Just voice it. Talk it out. On the job, you have concerns about using this new system or using this new product, or using this new machine, or using this new device. In a relationship, where do we go from here, babe? We have the same goals. We don't know how to get there. We might need to help. We might need someone to help us with this. That's how you do that. And lastly, shame and guilt. Shame and guilt comes from making one huge mistake that will cost you heavily. The basis of that guilt is unworthiness. I don't deserve, or they don't deserve what I have done. Remorse is the emotion you must feel, because you must feel these emotions until they run out and they are replaced by something else better. So it's okay to feel ashamed, but you can't live like that. You can't live in guilt. You cannot live in shame. Give yourself a few days. Well, no, I mean, if you really screwed up that bad, give yourself 3 days of shame and guilt. And then see if you can't, which is remorse, feel sorry for the situation and your part in it. Just feel that. It doesn't feel good, but it's necessary to feel before you heal. You cannot heal if you don't feel. You can't heal numb. And if you're too numb, it's time for the doctors. And that means medication. And that means you are no longer in control of yourself. Feel the shame, feel the guilt. I say 3 days, however long it takes for you to come out of that hole. And then your next step is to move on to fix what you can fix. And what you cannot fix, you're going to have to need help with, or you're going to have to let it alone completely. So, that's my little ditty on feeling the feelings to release and heal. Your healing feelings are anger. Your emotional block is blame. Your healing feeling is sadness. Your emotional block is depression. Your healing feeling is fear. Your emotional block is anxiety. Your healing feeling is sorrow. But your emotional block is indifference. Your healing feeling is frustration. But your emotional block is judgment. Your healing feeling is disappointment. But your emotional block is indecision. Your healing feeling is worry. Procrastination is your emotional block. Your healing feeling is embarrassment, but your emotional block is perfectionism. Your healing feeling is envy, but your emotional block is resentment and jealousy. Blocks, same energy. Your healing feeling is hurt, but your emotional block is self-pity. Your healing feeling is to be scared, but your emotional block is confusion. Your healing feeling is shame, but your emotional block is guilt. Okay? If you have any questions on this, please leave them in the comments, and I will get to them as soon as I can. But understand, your emotional blocks are blame, depression, anxiety, indifference, judgment, indecision, procrastination, perfectionism, resentment, jealousy, self-pity, confusion, and guilt. and they have to be released so that the healing feelings, the true motivation behind the blockages, anger, sadness, fear, sorrow, frustration, disappointment, worry, embarrassment, envy, hurt, scared, and shame must be allowed to bubble up within you and released out of you. Okay? That's Grand Madam's coaching for the day. Much love.